Immigration is a major issue in the 2024 U.S. presidential election. After months of negotiations, key U.S. senators say they've reached a deal to overhaul the asylum system and manage the influx of migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border. Details are expected to be released this weekend, with a possible vote next week on a national security package that includes funding for Ukraine and Israel. For more, let's bring in our Washington, D.C.-based panel. Rina Shah is a political strategist and commentator and founder and CEO of Relax Strategies. Douglas Sloan is principal of the National Capital Strategy Group and a Democratic strategist. Art Estopinen is president of the Estopinen Group and former advisor to the chair of the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee. And Rafael Bernal is a staff writer for The Hill. So President Biden expressing support for the draft bill there, Douglas. But what about the progressive wing of the Democratic Party? I mean, how are they going to respond to a law which will give this president or any future president the ability to shut down the border?
Well, the progressives in the Democratic Party are going to have to understand that this country is faced with a crisis right now as far as immigration is concerned. We're seeing numbers of undocumented immigrants coming over the border that we've never seen before. It's unprecedented. And they also have to understand this is an election year. And if they want to be able to have any say-so in immigration policy and how these things are treated going forward, that they're going to have to get in line and play ball, so to speak. The main issue is, and we're seeing this with much of the Republican Party, this is a bipartisan immigration bill that's in the Senate. We have Republicans coming forward that are in favor of changing the policy, James Lankford being one. And he's calling out his party saying, hey, listen, this has a lot of what we'd like to see in an immigration bill. It's an increase in border agents, an increase in asylum officers, an increase in detention beds, and so on and so forth. This is what we want. We need to support it. These guys have to remember that they took an oath to the Constitution. And so, you know, the progressives have to understand that many Republicans are playing politics right now, as Rena pointed out, and that they're going to have to get in line if they want or have any hopes of having a realistic working immigration bill going forward for the future. I mean, this is the state of politics in America today, and they have to understand that. So this is what we're dealing with.
Yeah, well, as you point out, it's playing politics. As Rena pointed out as well, it's very politicized. But to what extent is President Biden's embrace of this draft bill tied to his re-election bid? I mean, we've seen his approval ratings have plummeted 38 points in January, partly because of his handling of the border crisis.
Yes, and I don't put too much stock in the polls this early out. I saw something else where we were looking like Biden is down in the polls. It's February of election year, people. We live in a very fast-moving, overcrowded news cycle. So a lot of the stuff that's happening now won't necessarily affect Biden in November. But at the same time, this is a crisis situation. We have some immigrants that, undocumented immigrants that allegedly attacked New York police officers in New York recently. The governor came out and spoke against that. So the moderate and the center of the party understands that we're at crisis levels and that Biden needs to do something about it. And this bipartisan bill really gives him a avenue to make some real solid, comprehensive immigration reform while he's in office.
President Biden has another problem, and that is the Arab American vote, the Muslim vote in some of the key states as well. I mean, to look at Michigan, he was there. He received the support of the United Auto Workers Union there, but his motorcade, when he went there, reportedly had to take side streets to avoid protesters who were demonstrating against his support for Israel. Then we had a situation which we saw over the past few days in which women, Muslim women who were clad in hijabs were refused entry into a Democratic election event that was in Nevada. The women who were disinvited, in fact, said that it was racist. What does this mean for Biden? Is he going to pay at the ballot box and pay pretty heavily for his continued support for Israel?
Well, regarding this issue, I will concede that Biden does have a problem. There is a significant a portion of people that were his supporters that are very upset with how he has been handling the situation in Israel. However, once again, we are in February. There's plenty of time to right the ship here. If Israel, say hypothetically, pulls out of Gaza in March, that leaves a good 8 months for that relationship to be repaired. So we don't know what Israel's going to do. And obviously, Joe Biden or the United States doesn't have any control.
Right.
However, this is a political situation where you never quite know what's going to happen. My bet is on Biden being able to prepare that relationship. And I say that because the alternative being Donald Trump is completely anti-Muslim
Right.
and anti-progressive.
Okay.
So he's talking about instituting a Muslim ban.
Right.
So
Douglas, I've only got a minute left. All right, I've only got a minute left. I want to go to Raphael very quickly. Raphael, is President Biden going to be able to repair this broken relationship with the Arab Americans with Muslims in America?
Well, like Doug said, that relationship with Muslims in America, the relationship he's breaking with a lot of progressives and a lot of Hispanics over his immigration policies.
Yeah.
He can repair them, and Doug is right. The big difference there is that the alternative is most likely former President Trump.
Okay, that is where we have to leave it. Thanks to all of you for being with us. That's it for this edition of The Heat. I'm Anand Naidu in Washington, D.C.